extensive vision to transform the city's school system.
And at the core of that plan are several key points to improve the overall school experience. So joining us now to discuss some of those points is the school chancellor himself, David Banks. Chancellor, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me this morning.
Great. Thank you so much, Chancellor. So before we get into this new vision for New York City schools, we want to talk a little bit about the stage of the pandemic we are in. We understand masks are going to become optional in schools, and there's been a little pushback from parents who are worried about vaccination levels and also about what you can do to ensure the city will keep students safe.
Well, I think one of the main things to keep in mind is that schools have been, in fact, the safest places to be. There's a lot of work that we put in during these past several months that have really ensured the safety of our children. And masks were part of that, vaccinations have been part of that, and air purifiers, it's so many things that we've done, and our Stay Safe, Stay Open plan has worked. But what we have really all been hoping for is the day that we can get on the other side of this. And we've heard from many parents who said, I can't wait for the day that my child can take their mask off. Well, it looks like that day may be here. We'll be announcing on Friday whether or not it's all systems go for Monday, but we certainly expect for it to be there, but it's optional. So any parent that still feels leery and doesn't want their child to take the mask off should ensure that their child still wears a mask, communicate that with the teachers in school, but it will become optional for anybody who wants to take advantage of that. All the data has shown us that we're in a much better place today.
It's good to hear that we are in a much better place. And sticking with safety, Chancellor, you're calling for the hiring of more than 1,000 school safety agents to compensate for a number of vacancies. We know a lot of people are concerned about violence. And will you be focusing any of these agents at certain schools, any particular area? And how are they going to help with stopping the flow of weapons in schools?
Well, certainly, and for those who don't know, I used to be a school safety agent myself. I worked at Clara Barton High School back in the early 1980s. And so I wore the uniform. I know what it means. And I know just how important school safety agents are to the fabric of a school. They're part of the school family. And we're down school safety agents all across the city. And so I'm glad that in the next couple of weeks, we've got a class of school safety agents that are coming out. We're going to work together with the police department, with the training that the agents go through to continue to try to get as many agents back into our schools as we possibly can. But I'm also clear that the safety of our children doesn't rest simply on the shoulders of school safety agents. Safety resides in the culture that we develop in our schools, and we're going to enhance that culture by engaging with other community-based organizations, credible messengers from the community. We're going to get all of those different mentors to be more involved in helping our young people. So it's not just school safety agents as the answer to the problems that we're having.
And we're talking with New York City Schools Chancellor here, David Banks. And Chancellor, we want to talk about the 120,000 families that have left the New York City school system in the past 5 years. You talked about broken trust. Out of all of the new initiatives you're including in this new plan, what do you feel is most important in retaining families and reestablishing that trust?
Well, I think one of the reasons why so many of our families have left, there are a couple of reasons. One, we're not doing a good job, first of all, teaching our kids how to read. That was a big part of my speech yesterday, particularly in a city with 65% of Black and brown children never achieved reading proficiency. That's horrendous. And we're violating our first order of business as a Department of Education. We should make sure that everyone learns how to read. And so we're going to make sure that we're doing that. But there are also lots of special programs that parents have come to expect in our system, from gifted and talented programs, programs that create career opportunities for young people. Those are the things that we're really going to be leaning in on in terms of creating bright, not just bright starts, but bold futures. And so many of our parents have looked at our schools and said, I don't see what's special about our New York City public schools. Well, I'll tell you something else. There are a lot of amazing programs across New York City that you almost never hear about. I'm going to be their champion. I want to lift them up. I want to celebrate them. I want to make sure that other schools can learn from them. And most importantly, I want to know that let our parents know that they should be aware of these amazing schools and programs across the city. We've not done a good enough job of letting our parents know about the great things that are going on in our schools. And therefore, we've kind of broken the trust. And that's why so many of our parents have left. We're going to turn that around.
All right, that's important to turn that around. More opportunities and definitely a turning point for the kids and the DOE. Chancellor, thank you again for joining us here on 12.
My
Thank you so
pleasure.
much.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too.